can officially be spring training now. It's the first day of spring from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. It's White Sox baseball, and it's brought to you by Canals Auto Park on CSN Chicago. The Giants and the White Sox get together this afternoon in spring training. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti along with you. Steve Stone will join me in a moment. The Sox made two big trades in the offseason. One was with the Washington Nationals, Adam Eaton going to Washington, and the Sox got quite the haul from the Nationals, including the guy we're going to see on the mound today, Ronaldo Lopez, 23-year-old out of San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican. Here are his 6 starts with the Nationals last season, a 4.91 ERA, this being his debut season, and he did pitch in the NLDS against the Dodgers. So as Steve stops by, we'll see Lopez for the first time, you and I, against a Giants team that maybe fell below expectations last year just because it was an even year.
Well, first things first, you're going to love Lopez because his stuff is outstanding. The slider's terrific. I saw him once this spring. It was early. He looked good. The Giants are a team that's got to catch the Dodgers if they're going to win the division. And to do that, they're going to have to get people out at the end of the ball game. With that in mind, Mark Melancon becomes a Giant. He's going to be the closer. Last year, a disappointing year, a frustrating year, although they made the playoffs and almost got there at the end. But this is a team that blew a combined 30 saves last year. Melancon and an improved bullpen will probably help. The Giants don't hit the ball out of the ballpark. Getting a run each and every time is going to be an extravaganza. Outside of that, they got strong pitching, and it's led by Madison Bumgarner and Johnny Cueto. Cueto was supposed to throw for the Dominican Republic. One problem: they're not in the World Baseball Classic anymore, compliments of the United States. So Cueto starts today. He won 18 games last year. This is a terrific pitcher. Now, the one thing he does have is an opt-out of his contract at the end of this year. That's not going to make the Giants happy. The 18-5 certainly did with a 2.79 ERA. He keeps the ball in the ballpark. He's got a great place to pitch as far as San Francisco is concerned. But the Giants are going to be run challenged, and for their pitching staff, puts a lot of pressure on them.
Regulars in the lineup for both teams. The Sox with quite a few of their regulars, as we'll give you the starting lineups coming up shortly from here at Camelback Ranch. First pitch is just around the corner. Beautiful day at Camelback Ranch, as they are most of the time, as the ticket takers do their scanning and you walk in the ballpark with us.
Going to be about 93 degrees today. Now, in the next few days, temperature is going to go down. Right now, a bright sunny day, beautiful baseball weather as we are under 2 weeks as far as spring training is concerned, which means that each and every performance by a lot of these young guys who happen to be on the bubble are of critical importance. And so for them, although the veterans are ready to go as far as the hitters are concerned, pitchers probably need one more outing. They'll be ready to go. But for the youngsters who have a team to make, either as a fifth outfielder, as a utility infielder, swingman, or maybe one spot in the bullpen, these outings are critical, and it puts a lot of pressure on each and every one of the front offices to make determinations that certainly they can change as the year moves along, but you would like to ostensibly go north with the best 25.
Well, the interesting thing about baseball is, too, you can have somebody with this great standout performance in one game in spring training, but part of what you're doing if you're the Sox or the Giants is evaluating the whole shebang. I mean, you can't be overly swayed by one performance, right?
Well, also, there's a lot of evaluators, and not just the White Sox, not just the Giants, but evaluators all over baseball that get fooled consistently by hitters in the spring, if the spring happens to be in Arizona. Because between the high skies making it difficult to get jumps for the outfielders, the rock-hard infield, which means that balls will shoot through that otherwise during the season would be caught, and the fact that the air is a little bit lighter, there's not as much humidity, guys don't have as good a curveball or slider here. So the hitters very much have an advantage in Arizona, and that's why evaluating is a little more difficult. On the other side of the equation, you can take a pitcher who doesn't look good in Arizona because of the lack of curveball or slider and the quickness of the break, he might look terrific as they go north, but it's up to the evaluators to make that determination, and it's not an easy one.
Sox have taken the field. Starting lineup for Bruce Bochy and the San Francisco Giants today. Eduardo Nunez, the utility player, is at third. Kelby Tomlinson, the second baseman. Brandon Belt, who's having a nice spring, is at first. Michael Morse, Aaron Hill, the former infielder, in left. Justin Ruggiano, the Tampa Bay cast-off, and most recently with the Mets. Gordon Beckham, our old friend. Tim Fedorovich, former Red Sox catcher, along with the Dodgers. And Gorkis Hernandez is in center field for San Francisco.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up behind Ronaldo Lopez. Left to right, Melky Cabrera, Peter Borges, Avisail Garcia in the outfield, the newly slimmed down Avisail Garcia, Todd Frazier, Leary Garcia, Yolmer Sanchez, and Jose Abreu in the infield with Kevin Smith getting the nod behind the plate. And Ronaldo Lopez on the hill. He of the very hard breaking slider. Good fastball. Little deception in that motion as he's not exactly a short armor, but pretty close to it. But I think you're going to like his stuff today. The umpire, Sean Barber, gets the home plate assignment, and the other umpires are going to rotate. Jordan Baker, Pat Hoberg, and Mike Casiopo. And they will move from base to base, depending on just exactly probably what they feel like any given time. Again, for the umpires who stand out there all game, it is very warm, so they might do some changes as we move along.
Mike's following us around here. Mike Casiopo had our last game as well.
He did.
The Giants will bat first, and Nunez will go to the plate.
And although we won't get into our cliche of the day early, understanding that it is spring training for the umpires also.
Well, that is the clubhouse leader for cliche of the spring every spring. And I believe there is a baseball or something that has ended up clear of the stands in left center, and Peter Borges is going to send it via Emirates over the barrier, and maybe we can play some baseball. That's the hope, at least. Eduardo Nunez, Ronaldo Lopez. First pitch today is on its way and high. Official first pitch, 109, 91 degrees here in Glendale. Nunez, the former Yankee, Minnesota Twin, takes high a second time, 2-0.
He had a very nice year with Minnesota before getting traded over to San Francisco, and he gives them something they desperately need, and that's somebody with speed. This is not exactly a team that's going to burn them up on the base paths, and when you factor that with the fact that they play in a tough park to hit home runs, they don't hit a lot of them. They enjoy a guy that can move a bit, and Nunez can.
You look at the Giants from last season in terms of stolen bases. The team leader was Angel Pagan with 15.
And because Angel gets hurt a lot, because he is no longer here, they need somebody else to lead the charge, and it would appear it would probably be Nunez as far as the base stealing is concerned.
Yeah, they've added Ruggiano, we talked about, Michael Morse. Those are not exactly Usain Bolts.
No.
Another foul ball from Nunez, still 3-2. Showed you the numbers for Lopez in the majors. He walked in his very short time more guys than normal. His AAA, AA numbers with Washington were huge. 11 strikeouts per 9 innings in AA a couple of years ago. And you said the live arm plays. Right center field, Borges is there to make the catch.
There is an open competition in center field. One of the spots that has yet to be secured, but a man has taken a claim for it, is the guy that runs to his left and runs it down, Peter Borges, who has brought over his insurance policy. Jacob May, who's also competing for that spot, having a great spring. Borges with a little more experience than most of them. He's got to battle Adam Engel, Leory Garcia, and eventually, in the not-too-distant future, they're going to name a starter to that position.
Get the feeling that that position may not have one starter over the course of the 2017 season.
Nope, there's no doubt that there'll be a few people out there, but I think if you were to guess, I would believe that Borges might have the first shot.
Veteran presence, plays the field pretty well, has some speed.
And is swinging the bat very well in the spring. Tomlinson, another guy fighting for a spot. One spot open in that infield. Of course, when you have a Gold Glover in front of you and Joe Panik, and you have a guy also that was the toughest man to strike out in all of baseball, odds are overwhelming. You're looking for a backup spot.
Boy, how good is Joe Panik at second base? He is absolutely fun to watch.
Crawford and Panik are about as good a combination as you can get. They both won Gold Gloves. And factor in Buster Posey, who finally, after an 8-year run of Yadier Molina, finally secured a Gold Glove behind the plate. So 3 excellent defenders. And the Giants last year, I mean, they went 30 straight games with committing actually one error. One error dropped Papa in 30 games.
Now 3-2 on Tomlinson from Lopez. It took an oddly down year for Molina, for Posey, to win that award. You see that so often. Guys go on runs and they just get all the votes. Not that he wasn't deserving, but it's nice to split the votes every once in a while. Give somebody else a chance to show that they're very good at a position too. Right side, and that drops. Tomlinson is on. Sanchez was motoring over and couldn't slide into position quickly enough.
But both Abreu and Sanchez have shots. At the end, ball falls, base hit. He made a big effort, but could not come up with it.
So here is the Giraffe, Brandon Belt, left-handed first baseman for the Giants, who had a baby giraffe named after him at Six Flags Marine World in San Francisco. You ever had an animal named after you, Steve?
Not yet, but that's one of the things I aspire to.
Which animal, if you could choose, would be named after you?
Oh, perhaps the hairy-nosed wombat.
Are you sure Harry knows him?
He does. I would say that would be as close as we could get.
Runners off. Sanchez throws to first. Tomlinson to second base, and 2 down for Michael Morse.
And Bell last year led the team in home runs with 17. Gives you an idea how tough it is for left-hand hitters in San Francisco.
Very well traveled, Michael Morse. Seattle, Washington, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, among others. You know what you're going to get out of Michael Morse.
He's going to hit a few of them a long way. He's going to strike out a few times. Good man for the ball club, and that's one of the reasons why they've got him back. Had a very good year a few years back with San Francisco, and it's a testament to him and how he fits into a ball club. The fact that they at least invited him back with no guarantees. It's going to be a little difficult to hang around, but again, he gives them a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Feels more DH-like than anything. He keeps turning up in National League cities, but plays kind of like a DH. Tomlinson at second. Lopez on the mound for the Sox. Ronaldo Lopez throws to second. Tomlinson is back as it ricochets away.
This is a time, whether it's spring training or not, I'm not a big proponent of the waste pitch. And with Morse, a real good time. You throw him a slider, you end the at-bat. He either is going to expand his strike zone or you're going to get the called strike. Let's see what Kevin Smith would like behind the plate. Looks like he wants a fastball face high.
He got him swinging. Might not have been as high as he wanted it, but it got the job done, and Tomlinson stranded at second base. The young Lopez with a scoreless first. Arizona brings this starting lineup for the Sox, and Ricky Renteria, Peter Borges, Leury Garcia, the top two, then Melky in the 3 spot. Now I'm starting to call him by the first name like you do, Stoney.
Yeah.
Jose Abreu, the 4 position at first, Todd Frazier, Avi Garcia, Nicky Delmonico DHing after a homer the other day. Kevin Smith and Yolmer Sanchez are starting 9. You don't get to say Melky because they're ready to go. Cueto with a strike to Peter Borges. You wouldn't have said it there. The Giants defense was coming, but Melky.
Johnny Cueto has excellent control. He also varies his delivery where he's going to turn his back to you at times. He's going to quick pitch you sometimes. So he depends on a little craft and guile, but he still has great stuff.
And a lot of quickness so far today. He is getting it and throwing it.
Yeah, he's gonna get it and throw it. That's kind of what he does. And he was supposed to. He was in line to pitch the semifinal game in the World Baseball Classic, but Adam Jones and company helped take him out, along with his teammates in the Dominican Republic. So they're down to the final 4. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights from that, and it's been a really good tournament to this point. A lot of intensity.
It has, and even talking to some Sox players as time's called, ran into Miguel Gonzalez earlier today, and I said, how was it? And of course the Team Mexico side didn't have a great showing, but he said, look, it was great while it lasted. Brought my family down there, made a vacation of it. Players seem to really like it, other than Adrian Gonzalez, as that ball flies foul.
He didn't like it too much, but we'll get away from that and go to the defense. And there it is. It's Hill, Hernandez, and Ruggiano left to right. Nunez, Beckham, Tomlinson, and Belt. Fedorovich behind the plate, and Johnny Cueto, the aforementioned Johnny Cueto on the hill.
He was aforementioned. Doing the pitching today.
Originally out of the Cincinnati organization.
2-2. No, 3-2.
That was a good straight change as you take a look at Johnny Cueto, just his second start. Of course, throwing for his native country, the Dominican Republic. Got a little work there, and there's the quick pitch.
A boomerang for Cueto, and he throws out Borges to start the Sox offense today.
I really like what he did because, again, with all of the scouts in the stands, look, they know what Johnny Cueto throws, but all the advanced scouts are going will quick pitch. Once that's on the scouting report, hitters have got to be ready for it. And as you can see, Peter Borges was so surprised that he slipped in a box before he wended his way to first base.
You think there was a cause and effect there?
Very possibly be. When hitters, you take them out of their comfort zone, that's one of the let's call it stagecraft of pitchers, especially veteran pitchers would like to do that. Cueto does it well.
And he's also in the corner of his teammates throwing quickly in spring training.
Yeah, they certainly enjoy that, especially on the very warm days.
Of which there are a couple here in Arizona. Garcia to right field, and Ruggiano is there for out number 2.
Had a really nice conversation with Ricky Renteria before the game today, and a couple of things that he said stood out. We'll keep going through them later in the game, but one of the things he talked about was expressing to his team how he wants them to act as a major league player for the Chicago White Sox. And he's talking about respect for the game, but he broke it down in a situation where he said, look, respect for the game is fairly vague. When you tell somebody you have to have respect for the game, you're not giving him the way you want him to respect the game. And he said some of these younger players, when you say that, they don't know exactly what you mean. And Ricky is, if one thing for sure, a great communicator, especially to the younger players.
He's a teacher at heart.
Yes, he is, and a good one. And I think he's going to have a terrific year. He's very positive. It's not going to be a great year, results-wise, for the White Sox because they're going to play a lot of young players. Ricky, I believe, is probably the best man for the job at this point. And I believe he's going to grow as a manager, this being his second year in the major leagues as a manager, the second team. He's going to grow as a manager as his team grows together. That's an ideal situation.
3-2 on Melky, with 2 out, nobody on in the first. What's striking to me is whenever Ricky Renteria is in front of a crowd, he likes to show people what he's talking about. He likes to display the teaching tools that he has at hand, even for the baseball layman or laywoman, as Hernandez makes the catch to create a 1-2-3 inning for Johnny Cueto. We are scoreless through.
Roll the fancy animation.
That's jamming out on a whole other level.
Join the White Sox for opening day on Monday, April 3rd, as your Sox start the season against their division rivals, the Detroit Tigers, at 3:10. All fans in attendance will receive a 2017 magnetic schedule. Great seats are still available. Get yours today at whitesox.com. Opening day is not far away, and we are hoping for 90 degrees.
Oh, I think it'll be 90 degrees somewhere.
In the oven.
Yeah, not a chance. But it's going to be a beautiful day.
Here's Aaron Hill, first pitch hunting. And he pops it foul.
It's interesting that he's playing left field today. The reason is he's a lifetime middle infielder. He's played second base a good portion of his latter career. But in an effort to give him some versatility and maybe secure his spot on this ball club, which is less than assured at this point, he's playing the outfield for one of the few times in his career today. And this is not an easy outfield to play in Arizona, so he should have quite a day in left field. He's been a very good hitter for a long time.
He's on the Ian Desmond plan, essentially. Elongate the career by picking up another position as Aaron Hill swats this one to the left side, and Melky Cabrera on the jog to the warning track, hauls it in.
This ball hit hard. Melky coasting across to make the play. The former Giant, the former a few different teams, but he's always hit the ball well and always been very popular with his teammates wherever he's gone. And last year, he had the most consistent year of anybody on this ball club. He was pretty good most of the time.
And his antics are always welcome, whether it be throwing sunflower seeds at our interview guests.
He does have a good time playing this game.
Ronaldo Lopez, the young New Sox right-hander. Line drive. Into the corner it goes. Ruggiano peels off for second, and he'll stop there as Avi digs it out. It's a one-out double for Justin Ruggiano.
A lot of base runners especially. Now, coaches know this, especially third base coaches, but everybody believes that when you're running and thinking about a triple, you're running on the arm of the right fielder in this case. That's not necessarily the entire equation. The arm of the right fielder is good, but once he hits a cutoff man, you're running on the arm of the second baseman. And many times, guys don't have that strong of an arm. You think about taking third base. This time, Ruggiano doesn't have much speed, so he's content with a double.
And now our old pal Gordon Beckham of 839 games in a White Sox uniform.
Got to wish Gordon well, but he's got an uphill battle to make it in spring training. He was a free agent, decided to go back, have an opportunity to come to camp with the Giants, and battling to try to secure a spot.
As you mentioned, the infield has a spot open. The outfield is pretty well set. They've had an injury recently to Mac Williamson, Jarrett Parker seems to have won that final outfield spot for San Francisco.
Yeah, I think Parker's going to take it over. They originally envisioned perhaps a platoon system, but the Giants would prefer one player over having a platoon system, and Parker's got big pop. I think Parker's going to get the job, and then it depends, on who they're playing and when he needs an off day.
Off-speed strike on the outside corner, 1-2 from Lopez. Tim Fedorovich on deck. Lopez with a high fastball that Beckham lays off of.
Fedorovich was invited to camp. He's had a good spring, but uphill battle for him also. It looks like Nick Hundley is going to get the backup catcher job behind Buster Posey. Posey, the best offense last year of any major league catcher.
Go to second, they got him. Yes, sir, Ruggiano picked off.
We've seen more of that this spring than we've seen probably the past 4 springs combined, and that is make attempts at pickoffs. Worst case scenario, you don't get them, but you shorten up the secondary lead, and when you take a look again, it looked like the hand might have gotten in, but certainly Lopez is very happy about that. Also, the throw is right on the money. So whether you get him or not, it's spring training. But the fact is, you're showing that a lot, and that's probably going to hold this team in good stead moving forward.
At the very least, it makes opponents think.
Yeah. We'll watch it again. We'll slow it down for you. And the question is...
Answered. He got him.
We'll take it.
You don't think so?
No, I think he was out by 15 feet. If I were employing that pickoff play, I thought he would be out from here to Gary, Indiana, as they say.
A little longer than 15 feet. In the air, right side. Avi leaning into foul ground. We're on number 3. Giants get a hit, no runs. Lopez still has a scoreless number on the board after 1.5. Sox fans, join us as the White Sox take on the Minnesota Twins on Saturday, April 8th at 1:10 p.m. First 15,000 fans get a White Sox winter hat presented by Coca-Cola. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. Jeep not included with that package.
No, we will be seeing, however, a lot of the Twins relatively early. Got a home and home with them. First homestand, they provide the opposition after Detroit. And the first road trip, we go there after Cleveland. So we're going to see a rebuilding Minnesota team. Team with some good young talent.
Whole new front office.
And yes, and a remake of the front office.
Abreu wraps it to third. Nunez throws him out. 4 in a row retired by Cueto to open the game. Yeah, first 4 series of the year against the Central, against Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, Minnesota, then the Yankees on the road, and then Cleveland and Kansas City, and we can start up the discussion. In fact, got a number of tweets after our last game. We were talking about the balanced schedule versus the unbalanced schedule. A bunch of people said they would want to see more of the other divisions teams, if at all possible, like we had discussed. And I know your counter to that is you want to have fairness in the standings in playing your divisional teams as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that was the object of playing every team in your division anywhere from 17 to 19 times. When you win the division, it's because you're beating the teams in your division. However, I can understand the fan standpoint, and let's just take Mike Trout. Instead of seeing him for one series, where if he is banged up and you don't see him, then you have to wait till the next year. You get a chance to see him twice. So there's arguments on both sides of the equation, and I think maybe eventually they might go back to it. Obviously, things are complicated now by having an interleague game on a daily basis. So, there's that to consider also.
I just know that when I was a kid, if I only got to see Ken Griffey Jr. for one series, say we're out of town, right? Say a family's on vacation, Seattle comes into town, what are you going to do? You don't get to see him for the year. Plan your vacations better, I guess, right?
That and MLB.com.
Well, sure, but nothing beats being in the ballpark for the guy.
Invite him back.
Personally?
Sure.
Dear Ken, please play here more. Dear Mr. Trout. There's strike 3. Cueto finishes Todd Frazier.
Well, the White Sox actually listened to their fans who suggested the same thing, and they acquired Ken Griffey late in his career.
That's true.
So this is a good off-speed pitch. Cueto takes a whole lot off it, and as you can see, the thing just disappears at the end, and Todd Frazier was off to a slow start because of an oblique problem, getting in his at-bats, although no match for the straight change.
Late movement inside, too.
Yeah, tough to deal with, especially with a pitcher who's around the plate as much as Cueto is. And everyone who has ever pitched in that ballpark in San Francisco will tell you it is a great place to pitch.
Nunez stabs it and throws out Avi Garcia. Clean sheet so far for Johnny Cueto, as the Giants and Sox are scoreless through 2. And we have a guest from downstairs, Todd Steverson, the hitting coach for the White Sox, kind enough to donate some of his time to us. Hi, Todd. How are you?
What's going on, Jace? How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you. So what are you looking for this time of spring training? Just overall, as you're watching these games, what are you looking for?
Basically, really execution, approach and execution, because we're down here to come out here and it really is practice. You're coming out here every day to practice, and so you can play like you want to play during the season. There's no better form of practice than these games right here, so you know what you need to work on, how your approaches are going, how you're feeling as a hitter, and what we can accomplish as an offense.
Last year, Todd, there were some difficulties with situational hitting, and I know you guys talk about it all the time, but is it difficult, or is it a little easier for a hitter to go up in a situation with a runner at third, less than 2 outs, and try to hit a ground ball?
I'm not sure if you're just trying to hit a ground ball in that situation. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put the ball in play, just in general, on a certain trajectory. Obviously, you don't want to pop it up with the infield back, but there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than taking a strikeout in that situation when they're really giving you a run and the infield's back and you don't take the proper approach to get that run in for the team. So, crazy enough as it looked, we were about or just a tick above league average in that category, but we want to be better than league average, and that's what we're gaming for.
You talked about something when you were talking about hitting a ground ball or fly ball or whatever the case may be. Avisail Garcia is one of those guys with phenomenal exit velocity, very strong, but you've been talking about trying to get him to hit more fly balls, take advantage of that power. Quickly, if you can, how do you do that? How do you take a guy who has been hitting more balls on the ground and get him to elevate?
Well, you got to start taking a look at his contact point. Contact point means a lot when it comes to trajectory of a baseball. So he's out front. He's a big guy. Everybody knows he does have power, even though he hasn't thrown up 20 home runs or anything like that in the big leagues yet. Everybody knows he has the ability to hit the ball out of any ballpark in the league. So when you're reaching and catching the ball too far out front, you kind of lose your posture. You don't have as much juice as you had. Really, when you swing at balls that are out of the zone, you can't. There's no slug there. So the number one thing is getting a strike. The second one thing is contact point on that strike. If you let it get to about the front part of the plate, somewhere inside of your front knee and your body, with the proper angle, you can take those types of balls that'll hit line drives and homers. But we're working on him not getting out too far so he can utilize his whole power. Of
the young guys, Todd, who has stood out to you this spring?
There's quite a few of them, actually. Like I said, we got Nicky Delmonico. We have, obviously, Tim Anderson is still young, but he's a phenomenal player. We got Danny Hayes. We got a bunch of them over here that's doing real good. You know, May, Engel, all of our guys are really showing out.
Talk a little bit about Ashe, because he's shown some people that maybe some of those numbers put up with Philadelphia were not an illusion. He's actually looked very good, and he's got, you know, one of the opportunities to make this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's a left-handed bat, something that would obviously benefit us somewhere behind or in between a guy like Abreu and Frazier. But at an overall scale, he is a big leaguer. You know, he's got time in the big leagues. He's done some damage there, and he understands the league. So it's a positive piece for us right now.
Todd, thank you for the time. Quick inning for you.
Yeah, it was a quick inning. You know, better than being out here forever, that's for sure.
Thanks. Always glad to have you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, Jay Steve.
Okay. Thanks, Todd. Bottom three, no score, Giants and Sox. Cueto's double parked right now. The Giants and Sox are scoreless as we are coasting through 2.5. Ronaldo Lopez for the Sox has been very good as well, as Cueto takes aim at the leadoff batter for the Sox, Nicky Delmonico, in the 7 spot. One of those guys that we were talking to Todd Steverson about before he had to bolt because of the quick inning from Lopez. Nicholas John Delmonico, the son of a coach, as we mentioned. His father, Rod, nearly 2 decades as the head coach at the University of Tennessee.
And usually when you have a father who is a coach, you understand the inner workings of the game. Not going to help you execute, but it certainly will help you understanding what you should and shouldn't do. And Delmonico has impressed some people this spring.
Looper left side, and Beckham circles underneath it for out number 1. Enjoy all the benefits of being a White Sox season ticket holder by purchasing a pro-rated full or split season ticket package. To buy a season ticket package, please visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 today.
Kevin Smith has had a very good spring. The question will be, will the Sox keep 2 or 3 catchers? That's going to make a determination on what exactly Kevin Smith does, but as you can see, he's been tearing it up in 8 games.
Well, Don Cooper is going to work with the old binder in the dugout there. Oh, I was told that was Don Cooper, but I have a glare on my monitor. That's Greg Sparks.
Yeah, occasionally during the glares, he looks a lot like Cooper.
Into right center, and out number 2. Greg Sparks, by the way, who had the most amazing, treacherous experience with the phones last year that he still talks about. Picked up one phone, somebody answered, it was the wrong person, picked up another phone. It was fun. Good times.
And I love the fact the Sox have a couple of different hitting coaches. Greg Sparks is one of them. Of course, we talked with Todd Steverson earlier. There's so much work to be done and so many things to go over, so much video to break down, and head-to-head matchups with various pitchers and things along those lines. It helps to have a couple of guys. The Sox have that.
Second base, Tomlinson for the final out. 9 up, 9 down for Johnny Cueto, who looks like he does not need any more starts in spring training.
Looks terrific.
Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins nothing because it's spring training for the prize shelf. Take the number of MLB teams other than the Sox and Giants Ray Durham played for. Multiply the number of teams other than the Sox and Giants Danny Darwin played for. Subtract the same for Don Larson. Add the same for Aaron Rowan. That's your question. Use Twitter. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins nothing. The foul ball.
No, but your choices are unlimited.
Yeah, you can have nothing in a bottle, nothing in a jar, nothing in a car.
It's true.
Nothing in Steve's pink shirt.
I kind of like this. It's a brand new logo this year.
Yes, a large peacock. You can have nothing in a peacock.
And you could maybe put in your order for some popcorn and some lemonade of various colors and assortments.
See, that looks really good. Tomlinson in the air, second base. And one away. The cherry lemonade is the best kind of lemonade, I would argue.
No, I mean,
Care to take the other side?
No.
Lincoln or Douglas?
I would think that that probably adds a little something that takes away the tartness of the lemonade.
Yeah, you kind of want some tartness. Good talk. See you out there. First pitch from Lopez, a strike to Brandon Belt.
I'm just captivated by this pitching performance on both sides of the equation.
It's been very well pitched.
Both throwing it pretty well, both throwing a lot of strikes that you would expect from Cueto. Ronaldo Lopez is showing that 23 years old, he's got a huge upside.
And that's part of the reason why the Sox were so high on him, to want him in that deal from the Nationals for Adam Eaton. And by the way, Sox-Giants that we're seeing here, normally just a game that you play for fun, this will be a September series this year. The Sox will play the National League West this season.
I had a really nice conversation at length with one of their great broadcasters, and they've got a number of really good broadcasters over with San Francisco. Dwayne Kuiper. And I sat down, talked a little bit. You will be astonished that that lone home run that he hit in his major league career did not come up during the conversation.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it was. But Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow are just a great television team.
Borges in center, out number 2, and pair that with the radio guys they have. John Miller, Dave Fleming do a fantastic job. The whole bit.
It's really good, and they were talking about, Dwayne was talking about his ball club, how important Hunter Pence is. He's coming back from hamstring surgery. Now, he is 100%, but they're not playing him quite as much. He's not swinging the bat well this spring, so with that in mind, they're thinking that they're going to play him in some minor league games, get him 6 or 7 at bats, let him hit every inning or so, and give him a chance to get a swing groove. He's in the neighborhood. He's hitting just about 100 for the spring, trying to come back from surgery on that hamstring, but he means so much to that team.
He's changed up his diet a little bit as well. Hunter Pence has given up coffee after noon.
Well,
trying to keep himself healthier and less caffeinated during the season.
If it works, then it will be fine.
How will we know if it works?
Well, if he's falling asleep in the first inning, he probably needs some more coffee.
We'll know how it didn't work, I think.
More times than not, Hunter Pence is so keyed up, I think that caffeine would be the last thing that he would need. Because that is an intense player.
On a ball and a strike, Michael Morse to right center. And Borges puts it away. Ronaldo Lopez is throwing the ball very well for the Sox. He is through 4 with just 2 hits on the board. No score. It's picture day here at Camelback Ranch. Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, glad to have you along. And a pitcher's duel for you, Mr. Stone.
And it's been a good one. Both pitchers look like they're ready for the season to start. The difference is Johnny Cueto is going to start it in San Francisco. For Ronaldo Lopez, most likely he'll start it in the minor leagues, but we told you before the ball game you're going to love this guy because of his lively arm. We've seen just that today.
No score on the board, and the first pitch slugged to right center field and bouncing off the wall. Peter Borges turns on the Jets, and he has a leadoff triple.
And thus the perfect game comes to a screaming halt. Borges with great speed had the play in front of him. This looked to be a hanging slider right up in his eyes. No chance at all for Hernandez in center field. And Borges off to the races. Nice job by Johnny Cueto because he was backing up. This is a lesson for all of you young pitchers out there. When you back up a base, make sure you're far enough back to be able to get anything that's overthrown.
Left-hand side for Garcia, and this is a foul ball.
In the case of Cueto, he got behind Nunez far enough so that when the ball airmailed him, he was able to make the catch, thereby, at least for the moment, saving the run.
That's the type of technique that managers are looking for in spring training, just to make sure the level of consistency is there, because in a big game, you're going to, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to default to whatever your regular setting is. When that adrenaline starts to cook through your body, if you're not doing it right here, you're certainly not going to do it right then.
No, and that's one of the things they do in spring training, is try to get pitchers, especially when they don't have a responsibility, you've got to go to the spot where you think you'll be in line with the throw. So although that ball sailed up and in, Liuri trying to drive home the run. And we talked about this with Todd Steverson, is hitting a ground ball in a situation where a ground ball gets you the run. And still early in the ball game, a 0-0 game, with nobody out, you're going to concede the run to stay out of the big inning.
Left side, Aaron Hill, the former shortstop. Borges is safe. Not a bad throw from Hill. Borges beat it, 1-0 Sox.
Well, you know what's on the mind of Nick Capra, the third base coach. You got an infielder playing left field, so any chance you get, especially with a speed burner like Borges, you're going to take off. Put the pressure on him. I think we're going to see more of that this year as we show you the double box. He tags up, and the great speed of Borges turns that triple into the first run of the ball game.
The old double box. It's not spring training for the double box. That was perfectly done.
And run batted in number 10 for Liuri. That's pretty productive spring.
It is, and again, his ability to play multiple positions may serve him very well when it's time to decide on that final roster spot. We shall see.
If you are entertaining the possibility of a swingman to get that fifth infielder, let's say, it certainly helps if you can play every position on the field. Liuri can do just that. Plus, he's got a very strong arm to go with it, so whether it's shortstop, which is his natural position, or center field, which he can play, that speed certainly plays, and he's got an abundance of that.
3-2 on Melky, who ran the count full in the first before a fly out to center to Gorkis Hernandez. Abreu on deck. Tomlinson backing up to the grass to throw out Melky. 2 down. So here's Abreu, and you talk about consistency. He ended up getting to that 100 RBI mark, and his first 3 seasons in terms of the power numbers, the prototypical power numbers, have been remarkably similar.
Been a real amazing run for Jose Abreu. He got off to such a slow start last year that when you looked at it, you say there's no way he can get to 100 runs batted in again. He was able to do just that. He still wants to get off to a better start.
Cueto got off to a start.
Cueto could have actually made that pitch, and you should, because most likely the umpire will call it a strike. The umpire has to acknowledge when a hitter wants time, he has to acknowledge it, and that time Sean Barber didn't. Another quick pitch, by the way.
Talk about the consistency for Abreu. 20 homers or more, 100 RBIs or more in each of the first 3 seasons. DiMaggio, Williams, Pujols, and Abreu. That's it.
Pretty elite company.
You know, you think about what we heard about Jose Abreu in the first couple months of last season. Oh, they've figured him out. The league's figured him out. They know what he's going to do. They're pitching him inside. He's not made the adjustment, and then suddenly he puts up those numbers again, and he's one of 4 players all time and hanging around Hall of Famers in that category. Cueto gets him swinging, and Fedorovich completes the out. Sox get a run. Borges scores it after a leadoff triple, and we'll go to the 5th. Spring training baseball is presented by Canals Auto Park.
Tomorrow night on CSN, the Bulls will try to pull off a season series sweep versus the Rafters. Live from Air Canada Center. Coverage begins at 5:30 with Bulls pregame live and streaming on the NBC Sports app.
First pitch is a strike in there to Aaron Hill, which today is an anniversary that reminds me of Aaron Hill, in the fact that he's trying to switch to become an outfielder to help the team, right?
Yes.
That's his goal by being an outfielder rather than a shortstop. 2006, this day in baseball history, in his first appearance in a Nationals uniform, Alfonso Soriano refused to play the outfield in an exhibition. Throw to first by Garcia, gets Hill by a step and one away. That's the opposite of what Aaron Hill's doing. Is I don't want to play the outfield, Frank Robinson. I'm not going to do it.
And that's what made Alfonso the team player he was. Had a good career, however.
He did. He did. And he ended up playing some outfield.
Yeah, some big numbers.
Here's Justin Ruggiano. Question is, why wouldn't you work that out in advance? Wouldn't somebody come up to him and say, hey, look, at some point while you're here, we'd like you to play some outfield? Before the lineup card comes out, you would think you might have a little confab about that. It's a ball and a strike on Ruggiano. Ronaldo Lopez has given up only a couple of hits, and that was a dandy of a 1-1 pitch. It's 1-2.
Love to see him getting anything off speed over the plate, because there's no doubt the fastball's major league quality, and the slider, when he gets it over, is also a plus major league pitch. Now the high fastball again. Let's see how it works.
That was basically right down Broadway, and it's fouled off by Ruggiano.
Yeah, not quite where Smith wanted it. That's why the at-bat is still alive.
Another foul ball from Justin Ruggiano, who doubled to right in the second inning, then was picked off. Ruggiano has to spin out of the way. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gordon Beckham is on deck. Off speed, strike 3. Lopez with his 3rd punch out.
Ronaldo had Ruggiano way out in front of the last pitch. He stays over the top. It's a good changeup. And the keys for changeups: same release point as your fastball, same arm velocity as your fastball. That was perfect.
There's strike 1 to Gordon Beckham. If I'm reading between the lines on how you're saying what you're saying, you're very impressed today by Lopez.
I was impressed. I saw him before, very early in the spring, and looks to me like he's got confidence. There's no doubt about that. I like the fact that he stayed ahead of just about each and every one of these Giants. Early in the ball game, he was getting behind. Then he started to feel comfortable, and now he's getting 3 pitches over the plate. When he does that, his stuff is good enough to completely handcuff you.
And yes, it's not the everyday Giants lineup, but there are major league players in this lineup today, and guys that the Giants will use. And Bruce Bochy, very talented skipper, a player's manager, as they say.
Yeah, and Bruce is going to wind up in the Hall of Fame. He was a great manager with San Diego, never won the big prize with them, didn't have quite the talent. Got here to San Francisco.
You know, it was amazing watching their bullpen last year because so frequently he pushes the right buttons, and the buttons that he was pushing were not finishing the deal for him. That's not a discredit to him.
No, and as they were looking forward to Game 5 back at Wrigley Field against the Cubs, Game 5 never came about.
Garcia wings it to first, and Lopez has been very good today. He is through 5, and the Sox still lead 1-0. Here's your Sox math answer for today. Ray Durham played for 2 other teams. Danny Darwin played for 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Don Larson played for 6 other teams as well. That's 6 plus 1. Aaron Rowand only played for 1 other team. The winner is Nerdrium, which has an atomic number of 215. Congratulations to Nerdrium. Johnny Cueto and Reynaldo Lopez locked in a pitcher's duel, as they say. Is that our cliche of the day, locked in a pitcher's duel? We'll find out. Todd Frazier gets under this one. And the rather lackadaisical call from Nunez. He has the ball and 1 away. Enter now for your chance to win a pair of gold box tickets to White Sox opening day on Monday, April 3rd. Prize includes a 2017 MLB.TV premium yearly subscription as well. Visit whitesox.com/OD sweeps for complete details and to enter today.
I am moving to the world of football for my cliche of the day.
You are?
Yes.
Is moving to the world of your cliche of the day?
No.
Your segue of the day?
That's exactly what it is.
There's strike number 1 to Avi Garcia. You have it? Are
Yes,
you gonna
I
share
do.
it with us?
I will. And that is when 2 teams square off. And you know, playing professional football, that they're probably going to hit one another very hard. Someone will inevitably say that these 2 teams don't like one another.
Ah, yes.
I would like to legislate that out of football parlance, because I'm not sure whether they like one another or not, they will hit any less in the NFL.
Parlance legislator Steve Stone strikes on the cliche of the day. Now 2-2 on Garcia. He and Johnny Cueto don't like one another very much. In this at bat.
Avi, checking in at 250 pounds, said that he'd like to lose 3 more before the start of the season. He is in a lot better shape than he was, and hopefully it translates into a good year.
He got clipped with that pitch, right, and Avi gets first.
We'll take another look as he turns his back to him and then throws a changeup. That one just barely nicks him, so he winds up aboard.
So Avi will go to first, and here is Nicky Delmonico. You know, we're talking about his father, Rod, who used to coach at the University of Tennessee. He also skippered the Dutch World Baseball Classic team at one point, and the Netherlands now moving on to the next round in the World Baseball Classic.
One of the final 4. Along with Puerto Rico, Japan, and the boys from the good old US of A.
The pride of the American side. Fly ball for Delmonico, and Gorkis Hernandez secures it for out number 2.
I'm going to tell you that in the not too distant future, we're going to see a great catch by Adam Jones that helped propel the United States to the next round.
And there's the round they're in. They'll take on Japan, Netherlands, and Puerto Rico coming up tonight.
Japan is a very strong team.
Go to first, and Avi is back. Nothing like hitting a guy and then forcing him to dive back.
Well, if you can steal bases, the first thing that base runners want to do after getting hit is steal a base, but Cueto is very difficult to run against.
Inside to Smith. You were talking about a catch, Steve.
I was. Off the bat of Manny Machado.
I think we're going to see it. I have a premonition.
You get that feeling?
I can't stop that feeling.
Enough time to tell you that Johnny Cueto's the toughest active pitcher to run against?
Yes, you had just enough time.
Here it is.
Baseball means that it's coming.
Manny Machado to his teammate, Adam Jones, who goes up and brings it back in. I would say pretty strong play right there. Tyler Clippard certainly happy. And Manny Machado gives him the tip of the cap.
Tyler was catching flies. You know, Adam Jones, he got caught up in some stuff that he said about social issues last year and also the Orioles crowds overall. But he's another one of those guys that he can say whatever he throws his body around in center field and seems to love playing the game.
Well, he plays very hard. He always hustles, and that goes back to the first year he was there and the conversation he had with Buck Showalter, which we will tell you about as Avi leads away. Johnny Cueto, among active pitchers, percent caught stealing 60.8%. So when you want to run against him, pretty much you can forget about it. It doesn't work out very well for you. With league average of throwing out base stealers in the neighborhood of anywhere from 32%, when you get a pitcher that is over 60% caught stealing, especially a right-hander, that's fairly miraculous.
He slowed down dramatically with the runner on here as the Sox went 9 up, 9 down to start the game, and he busts Smith on a strikeout swinging here in the 5th. Johnny Cueto's fired up. It's not spring training for his emotion. 1-0 Sox.
Our Sox are right back at it Thursday on CSN. We're live from Camelback Ranch as they take on the Reds with coverage beginning at 3 o'clock. Spring Training Baseball is brought to you by Knaus Auto Park.
That's the Todd Frazier revenge game.
Should be a classic encounter as the Reds come here from Goodyear as you're looking at the Four Peaks.
That was one peak that you got at the Four Peaks.
It's beautiful.
The pond with the Four Peaks.
Only 3 of the 4 peaks are beautiful.
You shortchanged to peak? You like 2 of the tenors too?
Yes.
Reynaldo Lopez, pitch number 69 of the day, extending into the 6th inning.
And the pen up and going for the first time, so Reynaldo is out there depending on how he wends his way through this inning.
He's throwing a lot of changeouts today.
He's thrown some pretty good breaking balls and some straight changes, and he's gotten them over the plate. And I think that was probably the mission for Kevin Smith behind the plate, is take something off.
Like that.
Ooh, that was a stereo like that. I like that. We'll take another look. Boy, he's got a good feel for the straight change today, and the Giant hitters well out in front of everything. This comes on the heels, by the way, of Carlos Rodon making his first start in spring training and throwing it exceptionally well. And when I talked with Ricky Renteria about it, he just smiled. He knew that, number one, he threw it well. Also, he loved the fact that he was back out there going 4 innings in his first start. But it does not change the order in which they're going to go into the season. He's going to be at the tail end of the rotation because they wanted to slow him down in the spring.
Abreu bobbles, scoops, save the call. That's an error against Abreu.
This one came off with a lot of spin, but it's a relatively easy play, and he just doesn't make it. He still might have had a shot, but the throw a little high.
Yeah, Lopez didn't have the bag.
Not quite there in time because of the high throw, and so a runner aboard for the top of the order.
That is Eduardo Nunez. And now here comes a meeting at the mound. Don Cooper goes out to talk with Lopez. And some action in the Sox pen as you discussed. The idea of the screen in the bullpen is to make sure nobody knows what clandestine operation is going on down there. Looks like maybe Jake Petrichka.
He was scheduled to go today.
Yep.
So I would say that he is the right-hander.
The sub-rosa right-hander for the Sox.
Johnny Cueto getting a pretty good hand. There's a lot of Giant fans in the stands, and he signs a helmet for a young lady.
What a guy.
Very, very good outing for him. Looks to be in mid-season form, and they're 1-2, can compete with anybody.
You saying you think he's done for the day?
If not, he wants that long run in between innings.
Yeah, Madison Bumgarner not only can swing it, as you heard about quite a bit last year, he could pitch too.
Just a little bit. You got Matt Moore, who's number 3 for them, acquired from Tampa Bay. You got Jeff Samardzija, who was signed as a free agent, who pitched over 200 innings last year.
He's had a rough spring, though.
Yeah, he is. But veterans, doesn't really matter. They just want him to go deep into each and every game. He can do that. Matt Cain, they list as number 5, but we'll have to see about that.
Lopez throws on Gorkis Hernandez. It's outside.
You had a chance between our last broadcast together and this one to be able to broadcast some basketball in March Madness, which I would assume was pretty entertaining.
It was, but we couldn't get your Golden Flashes a win on Friday. You a proud alumnus of Kent State. They faced the mighty Bruins, and it did not go so hot.
Nope. They were huge underdogs. Fortunately, I bet your ranch on the Golden Flashes.
So that's where the bottle of dressing went.
And they actually covered.
The salad with dressing. Lopez throws to first. You had a great note, speaking of other sports, great note during the break that there's a new member of the Columbia Fireflies in the South Atlantic League.
There is. Tim Tebow assigned to that Columbia bunch.
And according to National Interest, our ratings just spiked because you just said Tim Tebow.
Could very well be.
So thank you for doing that.
And they're ecstatic in Columbia.
The old Fireflies.
Not to mention South Carolina advancing in the tournament.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they're excited in the country of Columbia, not to mention the city in South Carolina.
I would never do that. Well, I would.
You'd
I
never
just didn't think about it.
You'd never take a word that has 2 meanings and
No.
turn it into something fun?
Mm-mm.
Well, then I guess we're going to have to ask you to leave. Here's a foul ball back toward us.
That's in the booth right next to us.
That's the scoreboard operations booth, and I believe that's the public address announcer with his hands up in the air. They're having a good old time. Nobody was hurt in the filming of this foul ball. A lot of microphones over there, and like Infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure in that booth.
There is that.
I'm told we're going to see your name in lights at an upcoming White Sox game, celebrate a birthday, anniversary, and more with a scoreboard message. Proceeds benefit White Sox charities. To book your message, visit whitesox.com/scoreboard. 2-2 from Lopez. This could be 2. Garcia, Sanchez, there it is. Wipe that error away. Lopez scoreless through 6. New pitcher for the San Francisco Giants is Josh Osich. Don't say it too fast.
On for the 7th time this spring. And as you can see, it has not exactly been a spotless spring. The one thing that might be a bit troubling is left-handers hitting .750 against him.
That's a high number, Steve.
Yeah, especially if you're thinking about being a situational left-hander.
Well, it's the 6th inning, and we are going to test your knowledge of your own career. Sticks and Stone, you made your Major League debut with the Giants. Who's the first batter you faced?
Former broadcaster Dave Campbell.
Soup.
Went to 3-2, threw a slider, hit it off the end of the bat into center field for a base hit, but I can hardly remember back that far.
So here's the thing about that. Chris Kamka, stat guru as he is in the truck, said, why don't you follow up with Steve and see if he remembers what Dave Campbell did against him? And you just took us blow by blow there.
Yes.
So thank you for having a steel trap up there. We appreciate it very much.
Then Larry Stahl on a 2-0 changeup hit a home run as the second hitter.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
After 2 hitters, an infinite ERA.
You win.
Dave Campbell, single to center. Off the end of the bat, it was a cheapie. It doesn't count.
So you gave up a homer the second batter you ever faced?
Yes. Losing 2-0 before I recorded an out.
That's probably not good.
Infinite ERA. I knew, however, being the sort of intelligent young man, that it could only get better. Assuming they as soon as they kept me in the league, it would get better. I would eventually get somebody out.
Ma, it's never going to go above infinity. Sanchez to first with a leadoff walk against Osich. All right, what's your favorite at bat? Favorite sequence you ever threw? Do you have one? One that you really cherish?
A sequence.
Yeah, at bat sequence, situation in a game. We got a couple innings. You can think it over.
Let me think back. There's a couple that stood out of hitters I actually retired.
The self-deprecation tour may come to your city.
But I will tell you, I had a Hall of Fame manager with Baltimore Orioles, and it was in the 8th inning of a game that I was leading by, I believe, only 1 run. And a right-hand hitter named Super Joe Charbonneau went on to win the Rookie of the Year. Hit a long, well-struck foul ball, but it was foul by at least 75 feet. And as I prepared to get the ball back from Rick Dempsey, I see Earl coming out of the dugout, motioning to the bullpen.
3-0, that's the first strike for Osich.
So as he came out, and I said, it was a foul ball. And he said, yeah, but the next one ain't going to be. And that was it. I departed that game. So I remember the hanging curveball that was hit 8 miles, and never to throw another pitch that day.
He yanked you after a foul ball.
He did, yeah.
Did you try and rebut?
No, I couldn't, because he had already made the motion to the pen. So, yeah, no rebuttals there.
2 walks in a row for Osich. And a meeting coming at the mound.
Dave Righetti coming out to have a word with him. So they brought him in. He put 2 on, and now in some trouble.
So that was the bad one. Any good ones that you like, that you remember?
I remember facing a hitter by the name of Willie Crawford in Dodger Stadium. I didn't know it at the time, but it was the last hitter of the game in a game that I was leading 1-0, pitching for the San Francisco Giants against Los Angeles Dodgers in Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
And I remember him lifting a soft fly ball to left field. Now, it solidified a 1-0 shutout. What I didn't know until many years later, when someone asked me if I knew who threw the first Giants 1-0 shutout of the Dodgers in Los Angeles, I said no, and he mentioned me. That was it. That was the first one. And, you know, when you have Gaylord Perry and you've got Juan Marichal, 2 Hall of Famers, you had a guy, Mike McCormick, who won 25 games, another Ron Bryant, who won 24 games. You kind of figure somebody would have done that in the years previous. Nobody did. So when I think back, and I can remember that pitch because you don't throw many 1-0 shutouts, that felt pretty good, but I didn't know the significance of it for many years.
Garcia the bunt. Osich flips to first, and Borges to second. Sanchez to third. Nicely done. Leori Garcia has a sacrifice fly and a sacrifice bunt today. How many years later did you find out that you were the guy that had that?
I think literally it was 15 years later. I mean, when you're doing those things, you really have no idea who was the first to do this or the first to do that. It just seemed to me we had so many star pitchers with the Giants before and during the time that I was there that somebody would have done it.
Melky a foul ball to start. He's 0 for 2. Fly out to center, ground ball to second.
A souvenir and a very happy young man.
That fades outside. Ball and a strike. 7,027. We're not that young man. He's the 7,028th in attendance today here at Camelback Ranch.
Nice crowd on a beautiful day. The Giants do a pretty good job down here. The Giants and Cubs probably two
that won't get far enough.
Highest drawing teams.
Well, Osich has, let's say, struggled with the command. 8 of the first 9 were out of the zone. He's gone 2-1 on Melky. For a guy in Osich who last year in 59 games walked 19 in 36 1/3, 25 strikeouts, 19 walks. That is ball 3. Abreu scheduled next.
Infield in at all 4 positions.
And Melky swings and misses. 3-2.
Took a little something off that 3-1 pitch, which leads you to believe with first base open he was not going to give him anything too good to hit. I would expect something along the lines of that pitch that he just threw.
Three and 2. Little bit high, maybe. It's ball 4. The base is loaded, 1 down for Abreu.
They'll take that infield now, move it about halfway because they know that Abreu does not run particularly well. So you can afford to play a little deeper. Looking for 2.
And there is ball 1. So Osich, who started off both Sanchez and Borges with ball 1, went strike 1 to Garcia and Cabrera. And there is the anatomy of 3 walks on base.
Giants bullpen up and going as Osich having trouble with a moving plate.
Got a swing out of the zone from Abreu. 1 ball, 1 strike. Coming up on a 20-pitch inning already for Osich. Here in the 6th. Not close. Oregon State's left-hander Josh Osich got to keep the same jersey colors when he came over to the Giants.
14 balls, 6 strikes in his first 20 pitches.
Abreu to right field and deep. Ruggiano at the warning track for out number 2. Sanchez is home, and it's 2-0 Sox here in the 6th.
8th run batted in this spring. Long sacrifice fly. And Jacob May has come in the game to pinch run for Melky.
That puts May at second and Borges at third. So 2 guys battling for an outfield spot on the base path right now for the Sox. As Frazier goes after pitch number 1. Beckham throws him out. And the Sox do get a run on the sacrifice fly from Jose Abreu. 2-0 Sox after 6.
Just an outstanding effort by Ronaldo Lopez today as he did everything right. Had a good high fastball. I think the thing that was most impressive was his straight change. Hard slider to go with it. And he completely handcuffed this Giant order, limiting them to just 2 hits. He leaves with a 2-0 lead, and what a job he did as Corey Lupke comes in the ball game, having a good spring, trying to make it out of the pen. And he's had a couple of Tommy John surgeries.
Back-to-back years. 4 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago for the former starter. Sox have, cliche of the day alert, wholesale changes.
Yeah, I like that.
In the field. Danny Hayes is in at first, Matt Davidson at third, Jacob May into left, Adam Engel in center. As opposed to retail changes, which are a little pricier.
At this point of the spring, normally they would be wholesale changes.
Cut rate changes.
Matt Davidson having a good spring, and he's got a pretty good shot at making this baseball team.
There is Matt Davidson. Ball finds him. And nicely done by Danny Hayes to keep the bag at first.
Throw is off the mark. And the call is out. I think that might have been a break. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take another look at it. He was safe by plenty.
No instant replay in spring training.
Something that I know you're lobbying for.
I'm going to save up my lobbying chips for something else. The ball high to Brandon Belt. It was close, though. At second look, Danny Hayes, real time, I didn't think there was any way he had the bag. It's close, second look.
Hey, Sean.
It's a foul ball. Steve Stone would have gotten pulled after that foul ball, right?
Hey, he's talking that shit.
Here's a look.
We'll slow it down for you.
Is he or isn't he?
We'll call him out.
Ever since he went to New York, man, he stayed the same.
Corey Lupke certainly will take it. Brandon Belt, his next opponent. Left side for Belt up the gap, and Brandon Belt has extra bases with one out in the 7th.
After fouling one off and pulling it, he takes this ball into left center field, and no chance at all for May. It's only the 3rd Giant hit. Single and a couple of doubles as Belt leads away.
So Huang will pinch hit from Morse. With one out here in the 7th. And he will take strike 1. Three homers, 8 knocked in for Huang in 16 games. Popped it up, right side. Danny Hayes snares out number 2. A White Sox group outing is the perfect way to entertain clients, promote teamwork, or boost morale. Companies, schools, churches, and sports teams can all enjoy special group benefits when they reserve 20 or more seats. The larger your group, the larger your discount, and the larger your boost in morale. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/group. How's your morale, Steve?
It's been exceptional this spring.
That's good. Well, it's only the first day of spring.
I am making a concerted effort for the morale crown.
Oh, you are?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
You're exuding it. I'm feeling better about myself just being around you today. The morale crown.
The spring morale crown.
What's that made of? Ball and a strike on Aaron Hill. Belt at second, 2 out. Luebke trying to preserve the shutout for Ronaldo Lopez, who was outstanding. 6 innings of shutout ball. He struck out 4 and did not walk a soul. And that should do it for the Giants' 7th. Garcia hauls it in, and that is it for San Francisco. In the top of the 7th, Corey Luebke does the trick. Sox by 2 at stretch time.
Tomorrow night, hockey is heating up. The Hawks host Vancouver in the final stretch of the regular season. Coverage begins at 7 on CSN Plus with Chevy Blackhawks pregame live or stream live on NBC Sports app.
If hockey's heating up, that becomes a problem for the rink, though, doesn't it?
This is the key time of the year as the Hawks go for the #1 seed, playing exceptionally good hockey. And yes, occasionally, a heated up arena will slow things down.
Yes. New pitcher for San Francisco is Hunter Strickland. He of 120-plus games out of the Giants' bullpen the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's got a very good arm and throws the ball well, having a pretty good spring. 2.84 ERA on for the 8th time.
He'll face Avi Garcia first here in the 7th inning. It's a live arm, fastball low for Garcia. Some defensive changes. Huang is into left, and Chris Marrero, the former Washington National, is over at first. Two 2-0 on Avi.
Strickland, a big man at 6'4", knocking at the door, 225 pounds.
He's out of Pike County High School in Zebulon, Georgia.
I remember Zebulon Pike.
There's a decent chance that there's some correlation.
Could very well be.
Have you been to any Zebulons? in your history?
Not a one.
Not even Zebulon, North Carolina?
No.
They have a minor league team there. The Mudcats?
Nope.
You never got to go to the minor league ports of call.
I played, well...
You played California League and you played PCL, right?
Texas League, California League, and Pacific Coast League, because the Giants, the team I came up with, had all of their teams out there, which is certainly advantageous. The AAA team in those days was right here in Phoenix.
In Phoenix?
Yeah.
How about that? Giants for a long time were in Fresno in AAA as this ball goes into the corner and the battle is on.
Well, back when I started, Fresno was the
There's a Griffey jersey,
Class A
by the
ball
way.
club.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that was a Sox Griffey jersey that you were talking about earlier.
Told you they got him late in his career.
You were saying?
That Fresno was a Class A ball club, my first one. In those days, then they moved to AAA.
Called strike 3 on Garcia. Strickland painted him on the outside corner.
It's a perfect pitch. You're probably not going to hit it. The only question is, when a catcher, in this case Fedorovich, yanks it back over the outside corner, he's pretty concerned that it's not going to be called a strike. There's a young man with a very colorful glove waiting to be pressed into service.
I'm going to wager that you never had a brightly colored glove like that. You were a traditionalist. Is that right?
I would like to say that you were right, but once again, you are laboring under a misconception.
Does it seem hard for me to be under a misconception? I think I'm doing it pretty easily, honestly.
I actually had, at one point, I had a bright blue glove, which, you know, I wasn't exactly a veteran, but I had been around a bit. And one of my friends who came up, you remember John D'Acquisto by any chance?
I don't.
Hard-throwing right-hander who's spent his life around baseball, and I gave him that bright blue glove, which he spent the early portions of his career with.
Fouled away. But that was it? The blue one?
That was the most colorful that I got.
Now, kids these days, in other sports, football, basketball, the key is the uniforms. How do I look in the uniform? How do I... So you have to imagine that brightly colored accoutrement might be the rage at some point. Nicky Delmonico swats that pitch on 2 strikes into right field. It's been a nice spring.
I was going to say another of the young White Sox players who is going to leave an impression, because in talking with Ricky Renteria, he said that he really likes what he sees from this young man. And he thinks he will play in the major leagues eventually. And there is a fellow who is, number one, enjoying this game immensely. Number 2 is on the edge of his seat, so to speak.
You mentioned our new logo on our shirts. That should be our logo next year. Guy prone, CSN Peacock next to him.
It's a good look.
Let's get that on a shirt. Smith on the ground. That saved the double play with the runner in motion. And 2 down. The inning stays alive. Much more aggressive on the base path this year already for the Sox.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a whole lot of that. We're going to see running every opportunity that the Sox get. Ricky Renteria has stressed the fact that he likes to put pressure on the opposing defense. In this case, if you're not running, it's easy 2 and out of the inning. Instead, it stays alive and gives Yolmer a chance.
Yolmer scored after a walk last inning. And he takes strike 1 from Hunter Strickland. Former Carlos, now Yolmer Sanchez. And we've said it a bunch, but I'm sure there are a lot of people becoming acquainted with the name change to Yolmer. And he did it in part because he liked the novelty of it, and also in part because it's actually his real first name. Strickland on 2 strikes to Sanchez. Delmonico at second and fouled away hard. Mention our next game will be Thursday, that will televise Sox and the Cincinnati Reds. Then on Friday we will be in Mesa to see the Oakland Athletics. Saturday we have off. Sunday it'll be Sox and Giants once again from right here at Camelback Ranch. The rematch from today. Sanchez cracks it to right field. Ruggiano, long run, and he reaches up to finish off the Sox here in the 7th inning. Nice running grab to conclude the 7th. 2-0 Sox.
For the White Sox checking, an official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available to your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
New pitcher on for the Sox, replacing Corey Lukey. It is Tommy Canely to the mound here at Camelback Ranch, the former Colorado Rocky.
And another of the great arms, one of the hard-throwing White Sox pensmen at this point, trying to win a spot. There is perhaps one spot available, depending on how they want to work things and how many pitchers they want to take. Could very well be 2 spots available.
Well, right out of the chute in his major league career, Tommy Canely had a 2-to-1, a little bit more than 2-to-1, strikeout to walk ratio, 63-31. Then his second season with the Rockies, that went down to 39-28. And then last year with the Sox, 25 strikeouts, 20 walks.
The only thing that, and we don't know, obviously it's going to be a while till final cuts are made, but the only thing that would keep him out of the major leagues would be lack of control. Because when the control is there, his stuff is certainly good enough to dominate a whole lot of people.
Slider off the plate. Yeah, 2 years ago, strikeouts per 9, and it's out of the bullpen. He's not pitching 9 innings at all, but strikeouts per 9, 10.5, with 39 strikeouts in 33 innings and a third. That one's lined to left, and Ruggiano has a single on a ball and 2 strikes.
One thing you try to avoid at this point, you want to avoid them all spring, but when you don't have a whole lot of time to heal, you certainly want to avoid major injuries to guys that you view are going to be mainstays. With that in mind, J.D. Martinez, one of the stars of the Detroit Tigers, a team whose window is closing shut as we speak because of some of the aging veterans that they have. But J.D., one of the real stars, had a foot injury, and they're not anticipating it being very serious, but those injuries late in the spring are pretty difficult. He had an MRI. They said they want to rule everything out, so Brad Osmus and everybody associated with the Tigers holding their breath. J.D. in the middle of that lineup is devastating.
Well, we saw him get hurt mid-season last year, and there's a fly ball from Beckham, and May is there for out number 1. It certainly didn't help the Tigers' fortunes to be without him, but you're talking about the spring training injuries. The most recent one, the most damaging one, was A.J. Pollock with the Diamondbacks last year, and that basically sent the season into a tailspin.
That was at a play at the plate, and he was lost, and when you don't have a lot of thunder up and down your lineup, the loss of one of your mainstays can be devastating, and I know it certainly affected the offensive production and the lineup of the Diamondbacks.
Was that at the end of spring training or the very beginning of the regular season?
Get a ground ball, come on.
It's a good question.
I mean, it was either day one or day two of the season or at the end of spring training.
Early enough where he missed the year.
Fedorovich, the catcher, with a runner on and one out. Now a ball and a strike on the Giants catcher, Tim Fedorovich, who struck out twice against Sox starter Reynaldo Lopez, who fanned 4 and didn't give up a hit after the second inning.
As impressive, and probably more impressive than just about any outing all spring long by any of the Sox starters.
Pena, who's checked in at catcher, thought about throwing on Ruggiano. Thought better of it. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting choice for Rick Hahn and the Sox front office as to when these guys, Lopez and the like, get to come to the major leagues. The idea is to have them learn in the minors and then make their way to the majors. But he turns out, say, 6 in a row like that. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, you're going to take a look. You're going to see where your team is, what injuries you might have, and there's a lot of things that enter into breaking camp and going north with the ball club.
On the ground, Davidson goes into right field with it. Liriano charges and has the out at third. Alert play by Liriano to cut down Ruggiano.
Well, I don't think Justin Ruggiano thought there was any way there was going to be a play on him as this ball skips into right field. But Matt Davidson has made a couple of throws, neither of them very good at this point. That one gets away, and then Liriano, who was just inserted in the game, throws a rocket to third base right on the money, cutting down Ruggiano. What a throw, as Ruggiano actually was coasting into third. So he threw out the anchor a touch early and cost him an out and perhaps a big inning.
Imagine his surprise when in his peripheral vision a projectile came through. 2 down for Gorkys Hernandez, and there is ball number 1. Well, this has not been, as you said, a banner day for Matt Davidson, who had been the last couple of years more comfortable in the field than he ever had been in his career. Over from the Diamondbacks a couple of years ago.
Well, a lot of what's going to affect decisions that all teams are going to make is a situation where you have or you don't have options on various players. Because normally if you have a chance, and let's say 2 players are exactly the same, any 2 players, it didn't matter what the names are, but 2 players are exactly the same. One has options. You can send him down to the minor leagues and not be afraid of losing him. The other is out of options, where he would have to pass through waivers before you could send him down. Odds are overwhelming. If you really believe in this player that is out of options, he's probably going to stay with your team, where the other will go down and you will be able to keep it.
That's a laser from Hernandez, and 2 on for the Giants in the 8th inning. And as we talk about waivers, if people who don't know or watching the game, every team has an opportunity to claim your player if you put that player on waivers, trying to get them through to the minor leagues.
And options, you only use 1 a year. You can move a guy up and down 5 times if you want to, but you only use 1 option. Once you're out of them, you run the risk of losing that particular player, and that really comes into play a number of times.
Tim Fedorovich was under siege here at first.
Well, what they tell you is make sure the ball goes through. Not make sure it goes through you, but make sure it goes through. And that one just missed him, so he could just trot into second base.
That had some Keanu Reeves to it. Little Neo from the Matrix. Long fly ball for Jones to right field, and it's out of here. Ryder Jones rides it out, and the Giants have taken the lead at 3-2.
Towering fly ball to right field. And that one changes the course of events drastically. Liriano runs out of room, and that one is gone.
So Ryder Jones, who came in for Nunez as a defensive replacement, bashes a 3-run home run. And the Giants lead for the first time. They score for the first time, and Lopez won't get the win. Tommy Kahnle gets a couple words of wisdom from Pena. Two and one from Kahnle. Kelby Tomlinson in for the duration today, it seems. Three balls and a strike. That is ball 4.
This has been an 8th inning comeback. Of course, the resolution of the contest still in doubt. But last year, for the first time in a long time, the Giants were, I believe, 0-62 in games they trailed into the 9th inning. They never had a comeback. And that, for them, was most unusual because they've been offensive clubs over the years. That's going to be it for Tommy Kahnle. So he will walk out.
Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy almost 300 spring training games and the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Michael Inoa, the new White Sox pitcher.
On for the 8th time in this particular spring. Not the best. Last year, he threw the ball pretty well. Last year, he was pretty impressive coming out of the pen, actually.
Another rather vibrant arm for the Sox as he drops in strike number 1. With Chris Marrero.
Well, as a 16-year-old, when Inoa signed with the Oakland Athletics, he signed with a lot of fanfare. Tall, hard-throwing, very young. Right-handed starter. He's had some arm problems. That's one of the reasons why he was included in the deal that brought him to the White Sox.
Seen him drop down a couple times here on a ball and a strike to Marrero. Jeff Samardzija, Josh Fegley, Marcus Simeon. In December 3 years ago. One and two, Inoa to Marrero, and in the dirt, throw to first, save.
Pretty good throw, heads up play by Pena, almost got him straying off the bag. Secondary lead, and he was breaking towards second. The hand just got in before the tag.
So 2-2. Runners off and a foul ball down the line. Tomlinson will have to go back. And fans, shirtless or not, scatter for the baseball. That's a foul ball off Marrero. And count remains 2-2. Sox led 2-0, but in this inning, a 3-run home run for Ryder Jones of San Francisco has given the Giants a 3-2 lead. Two. Line drive left field. Didn't sound like a rocket, certainly, but it got the job done. Marrero singles Tomlinson to second.
I think he got inside enough to break his bat as you take a look at Sean Dunston, longtime major leaguer, now coaching first base today. And there's a look at former first player picked in the country by the Chicago Cubs out of the Bedford-Stuyvesant area of Brooklyn. He's a good player for a long time.
Another guy who played some outfield late in his career.
I had a long conversation with him also earlier in the spring where he talked about maybe that should have been his position all along.
Liriano in right has out number 3, but the Giants have taken the lead. 3-run homer, Ryder Jones. Sox need some climbing here. With the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience at Guaranteed Rate Club or Magellan Scout Seats. These two premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family, and are available for season ticket packages or individual games. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating.
And there's a look at Will Smith, who's just in his second game of the spring. Had a very good arm. Came over from Milwaukee last year. Didn't get off to the best start with the Giants, but started throwing the ball a bit better. There you look at the numbers. He's got a good arm, and they're hoping that he's going to fit right in and help to improve what last year was very much of a liability for the Giants, something that Bruce Bochy was not used to because he's always had a very strong bullpen.
Sergio Romo is gone.
Casilla is gone.
Joe Nathan is gone. Santiago Casilla is gone. Mike Broadway is gone, of the lesser. He's off Broadway when it came to the Giants bullpen. Adam Engel fouls that pitch away, ball and a strike. Some defensive replacements for the Giants. Juniel Karakuto, former Tampa Bay Ray, is in at shortstop. Slade Heathcott is into center field.
Are you making these up?
And Jackson Brown is in right.
I remember him.
It's Ryan Lawless who's in right. Jeff Arnold is the catcher. And Mary Poppins will coach third. How come the players who come in late in spring training games always have the funky names? How come it's not the regulars that have the Caracutos?
Because they change them when they start to play every day.
They become
To
Yomers.
help the broadcasters.
Ah, yes. Top 5 sluggers in the country are all named Joe Smith. Oh, that's a bare hand stab by Smith, and Engel's safe at first. Not the best idea in spring training.
No, and it would have certainly had him if it were cleanly fielded by Tomlinson, which it wasn't, off the pitching hand of Smith. Now, that's something you want to avoid. It is a reflex, though. You want to slow it down, try to catch it. The deflection made it playable, but not after that. I'm thinking that's a base hit.
You are right on after seeing the graphic. You saw it in your mind first?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Smith will throw to Garcia. This dribbler will only get one out at first. To be fair, you returned to me. The graphic came up. I saw the graphic on the screen.
There you go.
And you were.
I was just figuring in spring training, might as well give him a base hit. 2 doesn't look good. 3 looks a lot better. Plus, if he then does turn around and score, becomes an earned run.
We'll see how it plays out with Garcia out, 1 down. Jacob May is the batter, and Engel at second base. Sox trying to tie or take the lead in the home 8th. Engel got a really nice lead off of second, decided not to go, and strike 1. Everyone in the park yells back, and Engel listens. 3 or 4 people at least yelled back. Is it everyone's job? I mean, who's on that ball? To third, fair ball. Jones the peg to first, and Engel gets to third.
Well, it usually belongs in what you were asking about. Third base umpire, third base coach is the guy that is responsible to yell back. Good play by Jones. Short hop, and even with the slight bobble, he gets it there in plenty of time to get a very speedy Jacob May hitting from the right side. Good effort.
Quite the game for Ryder Jones. Right now, his home run would be the game winner. And there he makes a nice pick as Danny Hayes swings through an off-speed pitch.
The other guy trying to make a bid for a little playing time, or certainly breaking with the team, and swinging the bat from the left side helps.
2 strikes.
For Engel, who's got very good speed, if he's coming down the line, you got to anticipate that breaking ball in the dirt.
Oh, 2. Smith to Hayes. Way inside with a fastball. Matt Davidson would be next. if the Sox can prolong the rally. In the dirt, and nicely blocked by Arnold behind the plate.
This is what you're looking for, which is why you need a good secondary lead at third, but a good solid block. Arnold shifting his weight to the left, getting his whole body in front of it, making sure it doesn't get by.
2-2. That's low. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 3 straight out of the zone after Hayes opened 0-2, and now Arnold wants to talk to Smith as Davidson looms.
And this doesn't look good. Whenever a pitcher calls the catcher out and then looks into the dugout, something is not exactly as it should be. And he's one of the guys they count on out of that pen. Something's wrong with him. This is not a good thing.
Bruce Bochy will take the baseball from Will Smith. And so it's going to be a 3-2 count for somebody else with 2 down in the Sox 8th. Runner at third is the tying run. And we'll check the new Giants pitcher who gets some freebies warming up after this. New pitcher for the Giants, the well-traveled last year, Neil Ramirez.
Had a decent spring on for the 7th time. He inherits a tying run 90 feet away. He inherits a 3-2 count. So it's a pretty good situation for a pitcher in that if you walk him, it belongs to Will Smith, and if you strike him out, it's yours.
If it's good, you take it. If it's bad, he gets it.
Right. And we've got a new first baseman. And that first baseman. Second baseman also. C.J. Hinojosa.
The Texas Longhorn.
In keeping with the long and most unusual names coming only into the game late.
Hinojosa. You never see a starting Hinojosa.
Oh, very rarely.
At Texas they did for a while. He was a third bagger for Augie Garrido's Longhorns at the time. So 3-2 for Danny Hayes as we restart with Engel at third. Ramirez misses. Will Smith gets a walk. Danny Hayes will take it.
Not only does he get a walk, but with the scoring run, he could actually be sitting around picking up a loss.
That is rather disappointing.
Yeah.
So 2 on, 2 out. Matt Davidson is the hitter. Ramirez to Davidson. Golfed foul. Couple of homers. 4 runs batted in for Davidson off the stress fracture last year after his first White Sox hit. Oh, 1. Now 0-2. Matt Davidson, if you'll recall, was one of the final cuts last spring for the Sox. Got his opportunity a couple months into the season and then was on the shelf. Fastball high. Ramirez does the job for the Giants. Still 3-2 San Francisco.
There are the next 4 games on CSN versus the Reds on Thursday. The Athletics, and we head to Mesa for that one before coming back here against the Gigantes, the same team that is providing the opposition today, and then the Dodgers. on Monday.
So there's a company in, I think it's West Virginia, Pennsylvania. It's called 84 Lumber. It's throw to first from Davidson.
It's in Cleveland also.
Is it in Cleveland too? Well, the Giants are taking a little too seriously the 84 Lumber name, as number 84 C.J. Hinojosa just grounded out, and number 84 Ryan Lawless has come to the plate immediately following number 84 Hinojosa. Please don't check your scorecard. Back-to-back 84s for the Giants here in the ninth.
That's the real charming part about spring training. The better part is when they bring in 2 or 3 or 4 of the same number, then don't put them on your card.
Well, I mean, this one, thankfully, Hinojosa had his name on his jersey. Lawless did not. It's 0-2 on the second 84. And now both 84s have been 86'd. 2 down here in the ninth.
Restaurant term.
Why is that, Steve?
No idea. Just has always been.
I heard the story at some point, and I don't remember what it is now. If you're scrapping an order, you say 86 it.
Or if there isn't any of whatever it is you want left.
Right.
86 it.
86 it. Two down for Juniel Caracuto. He's a big fan of female lead singers. Ooh, Caracuto.
Jeez. What inning is this?
The 30th. 2-0.
And you are wending your way out of here once again after just returning.
You want to tell people what flight I'm on while you're at it?
Yeah. I want them to figure out wherever it is you're staying here and go and loot your place while you're gone.
A looting invitation. And it's only March the 20th. That's untoward by you.
Well, you are a traveling man doing lots of different sporting events, which is good. Then you get
Is
to
there
come.
a but here?
No, I mean, then you get to come right back and do all the games, including, by the way, the finale, which will be from Milwaukee.
Yes.
A couple days before the start of the regular season.
Somehow
I've
I've never
about the Brewers.
I've never been to Miller Park, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
But we're going to go the day before and give you an opportunity, perhaps, to go through the. I believe you call it Usinger, could be Usinger, but we'll take you through the sausage factory.
No thanks.
It's really nice.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Do I get my own casings?
You get whatever it is you want stuffed, you can get it there. Bratwurst and kielbasa.
That's the rejected slogan, by the way, for the factory. Whatever it is you want stuffed, you can get it there. 2-2. 3-2. Yeah, 2 games with Milwaukee. We will do the second one. The first one, I believe Ed and DJ will have.
Yep, that's
on the radio
that's,
side.
That's the night game.
3-2. Caracuto, a drive, right center field. Engel and Liriano. And Adam Engel near the warning track retires the side. 1-2-3 inning for Inoa. 3-2 Giants midnight. 3-2, San Francisco leading the Sox, bottom of the 9th inning, as the Sox try to come back after leading most of the way. Reynaldo Lopez was dynamic today. He went 6 innings of scoreless ball, and the Sox could not hang on to that lead. A 3-run home run to the Giants' Ryder Jones has given San Francisco the advantage, but Lopez was tremendous.
It was a really good pitching matchup. Johnny Cueto was exceptional for the Giants. He did give up a run, however, left trailing. And if Reynaldo Lopez had not opened up any eyes before this performance today was as good as it gets. No walks, 4 strikeouts. Got the off-speed pitches over the plate, which is something Don Cooper and the Sox have been looking for. And he's going to be a starting pitcher. Just a question of, like all of them, how quickly he develops. But there is no doubt that his stuff is major league stuff.
Saw it a bit with Washington last year in the majors. Spent most of the season with AAA Syracuse with the Nationals, AA Harrisburg 2 years ago. But certainly a lively arm for Lopez. His team trying to come back here. Reimer Liriano on 2-1 takes a strike.
The Giants didn't do much in the offseason. Close today.
For the Sox. Called strike 3. Thought it was low.
That comes into the category of too close to take on a 3-2 count. He got a fastball. And Sean Barber thought it was good enough.
I think you're right. Too close to take. Delmonico with 1 out. Bases clear. He checks his swing on ball 1. Pena will bat next. Catcher in for the starter, Kevin Smith. Sox got their 2 runs on a Leury Garcia sacrifice fly in the 4th and a Jose Abreu sac fly in the 6th. Foul by Delmonico. Nicky Delmonico was all smiles when he talked about getting a fresh start with the Sox last season. 2nd year now in the Sox organization. 1-2. Couldn't check it up. Arnold throws him out. 2 down.
One of the reasons why you keep on taking some chances on guys that are good athletes and maybe haven't seen their talent come to fruition quite yet is that you never really know when the light is going to turn on. And for some guys, they just come up with an organization, they get established, they stay there and play the majority of their career. But almost without exception, that's not the case any longer. Now you'll find guys that move around, and what they're looking for is an opportunity, and that's what Nicky Delmonico at this stage of his career is looking for. Just one opportunity to show what he can do.
Strike 1 to Pena, and we've seen it time and again. You give somebody a chance, you never know what's going to happen, and the Sox, especially this type of season, spots may pop up during the year as well. This should do it. Lawless in right field, and the Giants are winners on the road in comeback fashion today. by the count of 3-2 on a 3-run home run for Ryder Jones.
The big story today was Lopez, who was absolutely brilliant. Ronaldo Lopez threw as well as you could possibly throw. I think that's going to put a big smile on the face of Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria. And so, yeah, the 3-run homer at the end of the day was what did in our Sox. However, with the result not really mattering at this point, you're looking for guys that will take the next step. It appears to me like Lopez has got a very bright future.
6 scoreless for him today. Sox do fall 3-2, and I'll see you on Thursday.
I will be waiting for it with bated breath.
Careful, don't do too much of that. For our director, Jim Angio, producer Michelle Godwin, associate producer Chris Kampka, our tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti saying so long from Camelback Ranch. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago.